Hey guys, Carlos Alcaraz, Nicolas, Jarry, the Buenos Aires semifinal, the second Buenos Aires semifinal. That's going to be starting up in a second. I'm going to be here to guide you through it. I think Vansh is going to join at some point as well, maybe. So let's see how it goes. Anyway, this is probably the match of the tournament, right? This is the one where we're thinking that Carlos might actually fall into some trouble after his draw kind of opened up the first couple of rounds. Well, obviously it was kind of open to begin with, but let's say especially in the quarters when he played Andrea Vavasori instead of Jarry, and also the final potentially, Diaz Acosta, not Nori like last year, for example. So it does feel like his draw has opened up, but now he needs to play Nicolas Jarry, who's been a tough matchup for him. Jarry obviously pushed him in Rio, just the tournament that's going to be happening next week. Last year, so it was basically 12 months ago. Also fairly slow in terms of the conditions, so it's not like Jarry only really pushes players when it's altitude clay or something. And yeah, that was a great match. That was probably the match that also sort of stole the title from Carlos, because it was due to how much Jarry was forcing him to like work for this win. He got slightly injured. We could already see it in the second and third set of Rio, even though he had a bagel, I think, in that third set against Nicolas Jarry. And then in the final, of course, we all know what happened. He was not really unable to compete in the third set, and just kind of plodding around the court, and eventually couldn't beat. Eventually couldn't beat. Sorry, I got lost looking at that interaction in the chat between Ashley and John, since John said something weird. But anyway, let's also mention that the second match between them last year, Carlos Alcaraz, Nicolas Jarry, Wimbledon 2023, that was a very tight encounter, and people probably forget how close that was. And the Wimbledon champion, the eventual Wimbledon champion, Carlos Alcaraz, was basically on the verge of going to a fifth set with Nicolas Jarry, who was 5-2 up. The thing is that so far this week, Carlos hasn't had he hasn't had to get out of second gear, or at least when he was pushed, like by Wokarabelli at the very end of the match in the opening set by Andrea Vavasori, it still felt like, once it comes to the crunch, he will bring out the big guns, let's say. And basically that's what he did. I mean, Vavasori failed to
Damien,
make an impression
can
in
you
the
hear me?
tiebreak. Yeah, I can hear you.
Just to interrupt your live broadcast,
Go.
this guy knows you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I must say, from his Twitter profile, I wasn't sure. Marcos Zugasti.
Ah, okay. I
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
recognize you, but I know your profile. I didn't recognize you,
yeah.
just on
But
camera, but I
I'm a
know
big
your profile. Yeah.
I'm a big father right now.
but listen, big thanks to him because he has indirectly helped us or me
Mm-hmm.
get Rio accreditation.
Mm-hmm. That's the
Yeah,
deal. Okay, so you found because Marcos, you're the press officer, right? In Cordoba, I
From
think.
Córdoba last week.
for Cordoba, Cordoba.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
work for the ATP site.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that. So
All right.
thank you for helping out John then.
No problem.
Ciao, ciao. Bye
Bye.
bye.
See ya. He looks like someone that could be John's brother, says Matthew. Um, well, yeah. Anyway, that was interest. That was an interesting guest on the Talking Tennis live stream here. For sure. He, by the way, if you didn't catch that, he is the press officer for Cordoba. Marcos Zagasti. You can follow him on Twitter. He does a lot of content in Spanish, but obviously, if you know any Spanish, or if you have any, well, if you're not sort of scared of clicking the translate button, he brings out a lot of interesting content about, especially the Argentinian players, especially the South American tennis. But I feel like every sort of diehard tennis fan can probably find something for themselves on Marcos's profile. Anyway, that was the first game in the meantime by Carlos Alcaraz against Jarry. And I haven't seen it because I was watching John and apparently his long lost brother. And let's see if Nicolas Jarry can find the first hold as well. He loses the first point. It's a good counter from Alcaraz. There are definitely sort of, I think I was talking about Alcaraz potentially like having to bring up, bring his level up for this match. There's definitely also that matchup aspect that while Jarry has been a tough opponent for him, it's like a bit of a matchup where you can quit thinking, right? Like you just respond to what he's throwing your way a lot of the time. And I think we already saw it in the quarterfinals that sometimes this can be easier for Carlos, maybe even because against Ugo Carabelli, of course, there were these points when he was just blasting the +1 forehand, blasting the +1 forehand, and winning it right away. But at the same time, there are definitely moments when like that wasn't the case, and generally his performance on serve was not that great. So he was falling into some of these longer exchanges with Camilo, and especially later on when the Argentinian picked up his confidence, he was able to like really start taking some of the chances that presented themselves to him, and was really going after his down the line opportunities basically. And against Vavasori, it was very different already. I mean, against Vavasori, Carlos doesn't even get broken, right? 7-6, 6-1. So he doesn't get broken in 10 games, I think, on serve. And of course, this is partially just matchup difference in terms of Vavasori, Jarry being big servers, power players. In a way, Vavasori is different, of course, because he's like a disruptor as well at the same time. But Jarry definitely more sort of just big hitter. That's basically his profile. So it's different, yes. But at the same time, it's definitely out of these three. Today is the match where Carlos doesn't have to think too much. When he's just gonna be out there, mostly responding to what Jarry can throw at him. Well, sometimes obviously on serve he will be the dominant force, but you would expect that in most rallies he will be basically the player who will not be on the front foot. Oh, hello, Vansh.
Hello, Damien. I guess we're both wearing gray.
Yeah. I've probably been wearing this hoodie for like the past 5 days of streaming, so it's hardly a coincidence, let's say that.
Yes,
I have a
agree with you
streaming.
about-
I have a streaming hoodie, sort of. I don't know. I don't know if you do that, but basically because I don't leave the house that often. Today yesterday I guess I was out, but today I was only out for a run or something, or like go to the shop. So basically, I have some clothes that I like are basically just waiting for me to put them on when I'll be streaming. You probably have that with the Tennis One gear.
I do, yeah. I have basically like 3 different shirts, and then like a long sleeve one. So like about 4 that I just rotate. But yeah, I'm basically wearing same shirts every day.
Mafi talking about the Delray Beach semi, Bon Jovi in attendance, and Tiafoe chooses today not to turn up. Maybe he saw that John Bon Jovi was in the chat, and he just thought that he has to perform in front of one of his idols. Oh, I don't think Frances Tiafoe would idolize
Oh,
John Bon Jovi.
yeah.
I don't know.
He's completely gone away in the second set. I saw he was a breakdown, but seems like he got the double break as well.
6-2. Oh, 6-2, 5-2. Okay, so Paul serving for it. Yeah, that's a couple of really brutal losses for Francis. The last couple of weeks. Of course, the results are fine. Quarters in Dallas, semis in Delray, but just the way that
Yeah,
he lost to
but
Giron and Paul. Yeah.
But I look at it as a whole since the US Open, he's lost 11 of his last 19 matches now. And I guess I'm assuming that he loses this. And like, I don't know, it just seems to have lost that spark ever since that third set tiebreak against Shelton, where, that crazy wild tiebreak.
That was probably honestly the whole match against Shelton as well.
Yeah. But I wonder if he wins that third set tiebreak, if he wins that one, then maybe it could be different. But then, of course, he has nothing left in the fourth. And then
I'm pretty sure I was doing that much with John on the night watch at the US Open, which we did a lot of basically every day. And I remember it was just like from start to finish, he was really, not the entertainer, not the showman.
No, absolutely.
Of
Yeah,
usual, right?
it was Shelton who had that big stage presence that
There was
overwhelmed
only
him.
space for one guy like that, and Shelton took it.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, maybe to speak about. Also, by the way, I have to mention that on the ATP Weekly, Miles had took offense when I called Tiafoe mediocre just a few days
I
ago.
mean,
So
he has been for a lot of
he
months
has
now.
been,
So
I agree with
I
that.
think that's accurate. I was looking at his record against fellow Americans. I mean, I knew he was 1 for 6 against Fritz, but now he's 1 for 3 against Paul as well. Now he's lost his last two against Korda and lost his last one against Shelton. So yeah, amongst his fellow top 5 Americans, let's say in the rankings, the record isn't great.
Ghosty, I'm not gonna start talking about John Bon Jovi because yeah, I wouldn't really be agreeing with you, and there's no point in getting into that debate. But basically, let's talk about Carlos Alcaraz and Nicolas Jarry as well. Like, what are your expectations ahead
Yes.
of today? Before you came on, I don't know how much of that you heard, but I was basically talking about how this is like a bit more of a mindless match for Carlos. Like, he
Yeah, you
just
mentioned it
really,
being more reactive.
yeah,
I heard that part,
yeah.
and I agree with that because that's how it was in the matches in Rio and Wimbledon as well. It was just a lot of reacting to the big body blows of Jarry. And actually, didn't Alcaraz say that he'd rather play Jarry than Echeverry?
He
He said
said
that,
that,
right?
but
I think
he
it
said it
was.
about the Argentinian
Uh,
factor. I don't think he was
yes.
actually saying that. Like, I
Yeah.
think,
I
if
know.
you
I
think
know.
about it,
Because he said I don't want to play an Argentinian at
yeah.
home. So
Well, he's going to anyway. Well, if he wins today, obviously.
yeah.
But yeah, basically, do you think that's in a way that's also good for Carlos, that it's like a more of a reactive matchup? I know it's tough. These matches have
I
been
think it
rough.
could be
Jarry
because
actually has an excellent top 10 record as well, 7-11. But
yeah,
it is a bit easier as well in a way, right?
I think so because you can just play on instinct more.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I mean Alcaraz probably enjoys that a little bit at least. Even if let's say he doesn't win, he's gonna enjoy that kind of style because it'll be more natural for him.
Yeah, I
Versus
don't know if he
yeah,
enjoys it, but it is more natural. Like, it is definitely more natural, I think.
yeah. Um, what about Facunda Diaz Acosta in that
Mhm.
semifinal today?
I mean, yeah, he was pretty close to unplayable. Like, this is the version of Diaz Acosta's game that's like, yeah, definitive, and that's simply the best he can really play at this point in time, at least, which is amazing that he gave it in the semifinal, in the biggest match of his life. Not much of a choke attempt or anything either. He stayed on point until the very end. So honestly, we can only sing his praises. Is this match that we're watching right now a bit of a virtual final?
Yes,
Maybe, yeah.
especially
Jarry actually has played Diaz Acosta 3 times, and he's beaten him 3 times as well. Although, with Diaz Acosta, he has been improving maybe since then, like, pretty
yeah.
rapidly. So I don't know if it still holds up, but
Yeah. I guess that's back-to-back weeks. We have sort of a lefty Argentine clay quarter in the finals.
I had a ruined childhood by Britney Spears, apparently. Yeah, maybe a little, but well, I was just referring to the very plastic-ish, sound of the 80s popular rock music, and Bon Jovi definitely is included in that. The hair metal days, they're not my favorites, definitely not.
Mm.
Yeah, so far definitely Jarry. Early on he's getting into some sticky situations here. Maybe first game it was love 30, 30 all. Also, not really that much that Alcaraz had to do to get these errors out of him, but. But yeah, with that playing on instinct, I was also talking about the serve game and how against Vukarapeli Alcaraz was winning like 50% service
Yeah.
points, and against Vavasori he doesn't get broken. So it's not really like well, we shouldn't be expecting another Vukarapeli match here. It's
What
probably
was his
gonna be
percentage on second serve? I feel like it was in the 20s, right?
I think it was even lower, like it was like 11 or something like that.
Really, the whole match?
I believe so. We can check that, but
Okay, let me
I
check that.
think
I think it
that's what it
was
was.
a little higher than that. I thought it was in the 20s, but I'll check.
I thought it was like 2 out of 19, but maybe it's a stat that I'm remembering, midway through the match, and not
Yeah.
actually. But 2 out of 19 would work, right? That would be around
Mhm.
11. So maybe I'm actually remembering right. It's right. I don't know. Let's see. That's gonna be 2 games all now. Right? No, actually no.
Oh,
Jarry has missed that. No, sorry.
2 for 17. Wow, actually, yeah.
2 for 17. Okay, not for
Is that
19.
actually right? Wow, that is.
No,
that's
it was that's
Mm.
definitely what they showed in
Yeah.
on the screens after the match, because I
The
remember that specifically. But
54% service points won. So
yeah,
yeah.
and Ugo Carabelli was probably on like 40, something like that. So it was a bit of a wild match, but even against Vavasori, you could kind of see that it's not gonna last necessarily. It's not something that will happen every match. It's definitely a bit of a matchup thing.
Yeah.
If he was only winning 54% of his service points against Vavasori, he would never progress to the next round even. Yeah, Ugo Carabelli in that match won 41% of his of his service points. So. Motley Crue and Kiss are pretty horrific, Ghosty. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Guns N' Roses is a different era. Like it gets somewhat okay, but yeah, I still find it not too pleasing to listen to, honestly. I've sort of steered away from classic rock, over my time on Earth, and generally like loud guitars don't get to me too much anymore. Nurlan congratulates me and my team for Iga's title. Thank you, Nurlan, I guess. I mean, you probably know that I didn't really care who wins it, so. But yeah, it's a cool win, of course, for Iga. It's big mentally to sort of remain in that position of, well, get a win over Rybakina, which was clearly a big deal for her, and also to remain in that position of the woman to beat on slower, bouncier hard courts. I don't know how many of them we really get. Indian Wells, of course, Rybakina won last year, but we know that Iga wasn't 100% there. But it's good also to still have these rivalries on the top of the sport, because that was not a throwaway final. Even though Świątek didn't lose a set for the second year running in Doha, and basically hasn't lost a set in Doha for like 100 matches now, since Golubic, I think. It still wasn't an easy final at all.
Nope, not at all. Almost 2.5 hours and 90 minutes for the first set.
Yeah. Of course, we'll be talking about that a lot more on the upcoming Iga and Carlos Tennis Show episode. That's going to be after Alcaraz is done this week, though. But there is a high chance that we might be sort of maybe for the first time.
For the first time since we've started the podcast, yes. Not first time ever, but
because Madrid was the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we had started it the week before, I mean, we could have had Barcelona and Stuttgart in there, and then
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, so I guess for the second time since the podcast was established, we're going to have a week with both Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Świątek picking up a title. Since basically for Carlos Alcaraz, it was kind of impossible to do it.
What was the other time? This would be the first, right? This would be the first that they've, since we started the pod, that they've
because she lost the final of Madrid. Never mind. Then yeah, it is the first one. It is the first one. Yeah. I got it mixed up for a while. I thought that you said that Madrid, and then I was like, oh yeah, Iga, Carlos, Madrid. And of course, it was a final and a title, not 2 titles. Yes. So yeah, it actually will be the first time if Carlos Alcaraz manages to do it. Sean says, is there tennis next week? Yes, there's a billion tennis events just like every single week. On the ATP side, we're going to have Rio de Janeiro, the ATP 500. of course, that's an event that is basically like Buenos Aires, besides the category. Like the field is identical almost. There's also Los Cabos, the 250,
Yeah.
and Doha, the 250. On the women's side, you've got Dubai, another WTA 1000, and of course, 3 more challengers, Po, Tenerife, and Pune. Lots more ITF events. Tennis is every week, basically. Brazil is next
Yep,
week.
and the week
Actually,
after that
yes.
is even crazier.
Qualifying has started.
So
The week after that is even crazier when we have
the
two
week before,
500s.
yeah, the week before Indian Wells is just is bad because there's like 2 ATP 500s, then there's the tournament in Santiago, and then on the women's side you have Austin and you have San Diego. So yeah,
San Diego.
and and
Oh
also a ton of
yes,
other
that
challenges
event.
coming.
The most important one of
Yes.
the season. It's
Exactly.
coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's the fifth slam. Did you know that?
I actually called the Manama Challenger the Bahrain Slam today, but with the nice trophy that they had, I feel like they kind of earned the
Yeah.
title. The Molchan match has started, and that's also I think Brazil, right? That's probably Rio de Janeiro quality. So I don't even he's playing Meligeni Alves. That's pretty tough with his current form. But yeah, Rio de Janeiro is coming. It's kind of funny how similar these events are. Obviously, Alcaraz will once again be the big favorite to win the title. I kind of don't know who can stop him. Maybe again Nicolas Jarry. Maybe that's the best
maybe again.
answer. Of course, last
Kukushkin
year
is
he didn't.
36, right? Kukushkin 36. That is. We had
Yeah.
Kukushkin. Is that the oldest ever challenger final? 36 versus.
Ivo
it 38?
Karlovic played David Ferrer. Ivo Karlovic played David Ferrer in Monterrey, I think, a couple of years ago.
Okay, yeah, then that would be the longest. Wait, David
That
Ferrer
was
retired
that was.
in 2019, so it would have to be like.
I
way before
meant
that.
metaphorically a couple. It was like 18 or 19. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, that was the oldest. Yes, Karlovic
Yeah.
Ferrer. And this is this. I don't know if this is the second actually, but it's definitely the oldest since.
Mm.
There were some older finalists since, like Verdasco, like Lopez, but not. They didn't play. Opponents who were also at their age. Verdasco played Prajnesh Gunneswaran, I think, and Lopez played Grigspor. Actually, we'll check if I have this somewhere on hand. But I don't know if I do.
Probably the oldest this decade.
Well, definitely, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
definitely the oldest since Karlovic Ferrer. That was no. Yeah, I don't think I have it. Anyway, never mind.
Oh wow, yeah, that was 2018 in Monterrey, huh?
Monterrey,
So
yeah.
for Ferrer.
Yeah. Then Karlovic actually even won a title after that. He's the oldest player to win the title that year as well, I think, Calgary. And then when he was 40, he made a final in Houston, and that was that famous one with Marcos Giron when he had 5 consecutive match points and lost. Nice forehand drop shot from Jarry. Again, he's not in a comfortable position in his service game, but so far nothing has really come out of that. A bit of a Carlos Alcaraz type of play from him.
Yeah. Carlos's drop shot really came in handy again in the end of the first set against.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he kind of like completely took the wind out of Vavasori's sails with these two at the beginning of the tiebreak, and it stayed fabulous until the end of the match, really. I think this week we've had that tidbit from Del Rey where Tommy Paul was talking about like practicing drop shots more and doing it because of Alcaraz.
Yeah, I saw Blair Henley tweeted that.
Yeah. I don't know if we've seen that yet. Probably not how he beat Francis Tiafoe today. Here we have some controversy as well. Jarry won the point. However, he is trying to claim that there was a double bounce earlier and that the umpire should have spotted it. I actually don't know. It's hard to say off the replay as usual.
I can't really tell. Yeah. It's a close one.
Yeah, of that replay, I have no idea. My sort of intuition at first was that Alcaraz made it, but anyway, he had a put away volley, Jarry, so it doesn't matter, and it's gonna be 3 games all as well.
What are we talking about? This is not cereal, Ghosty. This is lunch actually. This is really good South Indian food that my mom made today. It's got the lentils with some bread. It's really good.
Yeah, everyone has to have that bleached blonde hair face on the tennis circuit.
Team Federer. I mean, those are the only
Very
two.
random, but Szymon Walków right now has that face.
Yeah, that's pretty random.
It is pretty random, but I remember being very stunned when I saw him with the new haircut.
Mm.
Of course, and we now have like Borna Goyo, right? I think maybe Offner as well. Nicolas Moreno de Alboran.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Roger Federer, probably the prime example along with Team. Ruud as well, yeah. Sean, yeah, true.
Yeah. Correct.
How do you rate Diaz Acosta's chances to play against, to beat Alcaraz tomorrow potentially, if that's the final? Is there, potential for him to be like a Nori type of figure and manage to beat him a similar way?
Probably under that caliber, but definitely could see some challenges. Like he could definitely push him. I don't really give him a high chance of winning, but if he plays like how he did today,
Yeah,
could have a
I
chance
guess it's
at
like
least
one
in the
of
first
these.
few games.
Yeah, I guess it's like another one of
Maybe it'll
these.
be one
where,
of those
like,
matches like the Vavasori one where it's just yeah, like the Vavasori match, where it was like Vavasori was clearly the better player for like the first 8 or 9 to 10 games, and then after that, like once he lost
12
that edge,
even,
then
I
it
would
was like
say.
the favorite just took over.
I would say 12. He was holding very easily for 5-4 and 4-6-5. He was getting to these 30 alls that he wasn't
basically
able to.
until the tiebreak.
Yeah.
And until the first set tiebreak, he was a better player. So yeah,
Could be another match like that, yeah, where Carlos would like get through on his B game really, but it might not be as clean as you would think. Jarry, I don't really know. Like Jarry, that seems winnable for Diaz Acosta. He's definitely not as reliable, obviously.
yeah.
Pretty decent final record, I think 3-2 from what I remember, Jarry, but of course it's not that big a sample.
Yep, a couple titles last year in Santiago and Geneva.
Yeah, and Bostadt 2019. I think he was also the finalist in São Paulo and Geneva. Yeah, Geneva back in the day as well.
Yeah, he had that match point against Zverev.
Yeah. Zverev third set tiebreak.
South Indian has Italy. Yes, I actually didn't say the name because didn't want to confuse people. But yes, this is actually sambar and idli. So that's what I'm eating right now. That's like the most famous South Indian dish.
Never heard of it. So is the
little
sort of
rice
center of
socket.
Indian
Rice
cuisine
socket.
in the
It's
north
funny.
then?
Yeah, you have to eat it with those sauces. They're really good. Or you can just have it completely enriched in sambar, which is what I have right now. It's basically
I was
this
eating
bunch of
this thing.
lentils with veggies, and that's what sambar is, and some spice.
Doesn't sound too bad. I was eating a protein yogurt. It was not great. It was coconut flavor, but basically I'm just trying out every flavor in the shop, and well, neither so far has satisfied my taste. Although they're still better than the protein puddings that I've had. These were horrific.
Oh, those are not that good. Yeah, I've tried those.
I
Or the
didn't
ones
like
here.
even the texture was horrible. The yogurt, at least, it had like a more
Hmm.
eatable type of shape texture, but
Yeah.
still not fully satisfied. I don't think it's worth the price either.
Sometimes if I don't have time to cook, I just throw in a bunch of fruits, add a bunch of protein powder,
Hmm.
like add, a few other things like coconut water and some oat milk, and then I just make a smoothie out of it, and then that's my meal.
Yeah,
It's like a
I
quick,
think a lot of people do it. Yeah,
yeah.
I
Of
don't
course, you
think I
still gotta
have
go to
the
the store to
tools.
get the fruits, but yeah, and the milk.
Yeah, I don't think I have the tools to do it at hand even, but yeah, that's definitely a way of eating when you don't have that much time on your hands. Better than just eating something junk food-ish.
Yeah, Alcaraz is way behind the baseline on a lot of these returns, like kind of waiting for the ball to drop, so he can get a ton of air under it and then just like work his way into the point. Do you think he's gonna keep doing that this whole match, or is he gonna try to move
Yeah,
it a little bit?
probably. I mean, unless he's forced to, unless like Jarry is really taking advantage of that, just like on the next point, which probably you're gonna see in like 10 seconds, I was assuming. But
He's
yeah,
basically playing
maybe
this match
he's
right now
really
like his
forced to do
team.
it. Hmm?
He's playing like his team right now.
Yeah, or Stan Wawrinka.
Yeah.
On second serve at least. This seems to be the first clean game of Jarry's match so far. Of Jarry's game, the first clean Jarry service game at least.
How many games does Divinor win tomorrow against Sinner?
I mean,
Under
if they play
6?
20 times, I was thinking about this today. If they play 20 times, does Alex de Minaur win one match?
I mean, you have to think maybe he gets close to winning one. Maybe it'll be like the Monfils Djokovic, where he gets really tight, really close a few times, and then, but like never actually gets a win. Because it's a really, really bad matchup for him. Like it's
It
horrific.
is, but isn't he like a bit too good for for
I
a
know. I was
0
thinking that too.
20
Like
record?
he's gonna
I don't
be.
know.
I mean, he has won a set before, right? He did win a set in 2020 in the Antwerp. Was it
Yeah,
Antwerp
but
or no? Sofia. Sofia. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. But Alex was better at that age, at that stage of their
Yeah.
careers, because obviously they're not the same age.
I mean, he also beat him in
Um,
the next gen finals when Sinner was like,
yeah, he
like
absolutely demolished him. He wiped the court with him. The same with Mikael Ymer. All these defenders on the touring courts, he was just killing them that year. Rotterdam is slower. That's actually maybe even not good for
no, that's
Semedo.
horrible.
But he is in the final,
I know, but it seems like every single one of his best results is just stopped by either Tsitsipas or Sinner at this point.
Yeah, it kind of is like that. I don't think he's even played Djokovic or Nadal that much, right? Or
No,
Medvedev
he's only played
even.
Djokovic twice, and he's 1-1, and Rafa
Yeah.
he has a win over. So
I mean, Rafa, of course, he played United Cup or ATP Cup, but that's
Yeah.
a different event. Like you're not gonna have your run stopped there by someone, even if you
Mhm.
lose.
And I think even in 2020 he pushed Rafa for 2 sets at the ATP Cup.
Yeah, they played 2 matches, yeah, and I think the first one had like a lot of spectacular shot making. The second one was, of course, when Rafa was already like little
Yeah,
weaker.
kind of.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to give him a chance, you know. So I'm gonna say like 8 games. Maybe that's too much. I don't know. Dimitrov would have had a better shot, but maybe not a tired Dimitrov.
Yeah.
Pretty fun point here with Jarry just consistently hitting these backhands cross, and like every single shot was there, and eventually he managed to get through Alcaraz. But I guess on the other hand, like if you mentioned Djokovic Monfils, like if you think about the gap in quality between Djokovic and Monfils, and then Sinner and De Minaur, I feel like it's pretty similar.
I think so, right?
Djokovic is better than Sinner, at least for now, and you know his peak probably always will be better than Sinner, I'm assuming. And Monfils is definitely better than De Minaur. So at least in terms of not the matchup, but the actual quality gap, I feel like it's pretty similar. So that maybe
Yeah,
doesn't
like the
bode too
the
well.
discrepancy, the differences between their like overall double, right, is like pretty similar.
Yeah. Why the hell Collins is in qualies anyway, says Nurlan? Because she's ranked like what, 60? Well, this was until Monday. 63, yeah. And in these WT 1000s without 2 weeks, it's pretty hard to get in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Collins did withdraw. Somewhat expected, it would have been very tough to play, but I mean, what does she have to lose? I mean, she's retiring after this season, right? I don't know if she's actually
Yeah.
gonna retire, honestly, just
I
watching her
don't know if
this
she
year.
has actually, if she will change her mind. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
still in the
Have you
cards, like,
thought
what
this
if-
through, Daniel? Have you thought this through? Then again, a large part of what we're seeing right now might just be, you know, that factor of I'm on the verge of retirement, so basically
Yeah,
I
so
don't
I can
care
just play
if
very
I
free.
win or
Yeah,
lose. Yeah.
super liberated.
Maybe that's also something that wouldn't be there if she just decides to keep going. Deuce now on the Alcaraz serve, big backhand return from Jarry, just landing on the baseline.
Yeah.
So after like being slightly closer to threatening the Jarry serve the entire set, maybe it's now going to be Carlos in trouble. Ooh. I think John Silk must have been hit again. I think he just got hit in the head by the Jarry return. I don't know where the media stand is, or if there even is a media stand in Buenos Aires, but I don't think we've seen John Silk on the screen so far either. I don't know why they don't show him. It's weird.
He's too cool to be shown in the stadium with.
Maybe he's watching in some, corridor at the back, like they can barely see him on the camera. Or he's in one of these glasses and hats that basically he's hiding from.
He's busy getting young kids to hit the subscribe button.
Did you see that yesterday, or was it random? Because
No, I saw that. That was a reference to.
okay, yeah, that was wild.
Somebody said that Diego Schwartzman is his favorite player or something.
Yeah, that Diego Schwartzman is the best player or something like that. Yeah. I didn't actually hear what that person said. John sort of referred it to me rather, but yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes talking tennis will just pop up on my YouTube feed, and I'll just, I'll have a listen, especially the shorts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I honestly don't. From time to time, maybe. I remember popping into this Miles John stream for Garcia Osaka, and it was irritating because from time to time they would say something that was, statistically didn't make sense, or maybe they just gave,
Yeah.
a bit of wrong
I can
info.
imagine that.
And I was already there in the chat typing it, and then they didn't see it for like 10 minutes. And I felt like Nurlan when he screams that we are ignoring his questions. And after that, I just decided not to anymore. Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think I really go to the live chats, but somehow I just get all the, because I get the notifications because I subscribed. So I just always see the shorts. Oh, Ghosty, with of course his humor.
Where you can see the match live. Depends on the country you're from. Probably like Tennis TV is the cleanest option. However, it is a subscription type of deal. If you're looking for a free streaming of this match, then unless you have like on your TV, you're probably gonna have to resort to some illegal options, which we can't really recommend or or anything.
But you're an expert in.
Eh, eh, eh. Shh. I don't know, Nurlan. I mean, you have to ask Vanch, because
Yeah, I actually
since
don't know about
Nurlan.
India.
Oh yeah, I don't know
Prathamesh,
either.
but I think Sony Live TV. I don't know if that works in India, but I know that there used to be a subscription service for tennis matches, Sony Live TV. But I don't know if they would have the 250s. That is a question I don't have the answer to.
Below 30 now. Jarry missing this +1 inside in forehand pretty wildly as well. So we might actually have him in big trouble here. So Nurlan, the past couple of days when he's showing up in the chat, I have to stand up. We sort of established this rule. I don't know if you also want to do it, but
Stand up, like
basically that's what he's referring to.
uh,
Well, we haven't actually like established it. It was just like Nurlan saying in the chat that basically he's so important that when he shows up in the chat, the people on the stream should stand up. And I was like, okay, I can stand up if you want to. And we've been doing that the past 3 days. Yeah, but I guess if you're in trouble on serve and you're Nicolas Jarry, well, you can always rely on getting something out of your delivery, like here. Odds are you probably will not be playing a rally on both points, or maybe sometimes not even on either point.
so far, no break points in this match.
Yeah, and right now we have a rally, so I guess there's a slight chance for Alcaraz to create one. And there's already definitely been a fair few 30-alls and deuce on the Alcaraz serve. So it's not like there haven't been moments when one player could clinch it, but, well, Jarry was a little too good here. Was it a reaction to the volley? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little clumsy, but
It was, but way it worked.
had too much space really to miss it regardless.
Yeah. Alcaraz did not get a clean strike on that forehand. He was just really pushed back.
And it's probably like not really coincidental, right? I mean, there was the pace coming from Jarry's racket that he didn't really handle too well. We're gonna have a deuce though. It's a net cord from Jarry on the +1, and he, it falls out of his control really, but he didn't have to clip the net, obviously. So once again, 2 points away from the set Alcaraz, at least in theory, unless Jarry blasts another big serve. Apparently down a break. Okay, sorry, I read a set, Ghosty, you scared me. Well, maybe the lesser Serundolo will win, who knows, but yeah, Molchan not doing too well so far, 60 down to Gani Alves. Is Felipe peaking at home, we'll see. Anyway, 5 games all, so again, just a few deuces, 30 alls, the pressure points, or however they called them at the slams, but no break funds yet for either player. Alcaraz twice 2 points away from the set, though. There was a question to you in the chat about from Nurlan. What are your Dubai predictions? I suppose we're talking women's. But anyway, Nurlan directed it to you.
I don't know. I thought I saw that Sabalenka and I'll have to look at the draw again, but I saw that Sabalenka and Rybakina are in one half and Iga's in the other. So yeah, I'd have to check it again, but
yeah, like threats, I can tell you that threats I can maybe give you like Svitolina in the third round for Świątek, that's a threat. Fourth round, no one really. And yeah, you're right that Rybakina and Sabalenka are in the same half. Do they have it tough in the very beginning of the event? Azarenka in the second round for Rybakina? That's a big upset alert, right? I mean, given that Elena is coming off 2 long weeks. And Sabalenka, Jastremska, Vekic, nothing scary, I think, in her quarter.
Yep, obviously that's one of the few 1000s that Iga hasn't won yet. So conditions are faster. And I think Coco Gauff is in her semi, and Gauff losing it early was a surprise this week. So we'll see if she was able to bounce back.
I don't like her chances in Dubai too much.
Same, but
well, make the final, make the semis maybe, but beat Sabalenka.
Yeah, like I think she could still get to semis somehow, but I don't know after that. Let me see if there's any dark horses. Let me check out this draw in more detail. Also the qualifiers.
Yeah, I guess in this sort of format where like players ranked 60, 70 are playing qualifiers, we might actually have some big dark horses there. But the qualifiers have been already finished, yeah, and we've got Burel, probably the most interesting, I guess.
Burel or Stephens. It's always Stephens or someone else.
Wang as well.
It's always Stephens.
It's always Stephens where?
It's always Stephens right next to Iga in these draws lately.
But does she even play her? Not really.
No.
She doesn't get that her.
Yeah. Kostyuk over Kazakina, maybe? Potential upset. I could see that.
Yeah. Iga's draw does look pretty good, but as you said, Dubai is slightly less comfortable for her than Doha. Although last year, until getting that called, she was looking really good. It was just the semis and the final that weren't perfect. And
yeah, honestly,
also let's see how she handles the fatigue potentially, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say if we're just talking like straight up percentages, she still might be the favorite to win the title. But if she plays up Sabalenka in the final, I'd probably say Arena is the favorite.
Yeah, that sounds right.
there is a bit of a shortage of contenders, I think, than the big three, if you may, for now. Like, there are a lot of good, dangerous dark horses, but who's actually going to win the event outside of these three? Could be anyone, really, if that happens.
Yeah. Who's the potential quarterfinal? Junction win, probably, right? Let's see.
Igas? Yeah.
Yeah, but it really, honestly, it could be Podopova, it could be Kostyuk, it could be
Anyone, really.
And
Like,
then-
literally,
but just-
outside of Świątek, Rybakina, Sabalenka, if they all get eliminated, anyone could win the event.
Yeah. Jabeur is not looking in good form right now. Also doesn't look 100% healthy with her knee as well, so she's not really a factor for me this week. Azarenka is dangerous for Rybakina early.
Yeah, after a long couple of weeks, this is an upset alert for sure.
Maybe Andreeva this week. Maybe.
I think a couple of days ago, Andreeva was Nurlan was complaining about Andreeva not playing, so you have your Andreeva here, Nurlan, and hopefully she's gonna do well.
Maybe Samsonova, you never know with her.
Yeah, she had one game against Iga in Dubai last year, which was actually a pretty big surprise given how often she pushed her earlier. There's going to be a pretty sensational shot on your screen in a second from Carlos Alcaraz. A big reaction from him too. Of course, it's just a return, but yeah, there's nothing that Jarry can do serving volleying against that. And it's love 15 at 5-6. Is Pliskova in Dubai? Yes, Ghosty. Pliskova is in Dubai. I mean, Nurlan the Cold was also against Goff, in the semis. So it's not like, it's not like it was an issue that appeared magically in the final, In the semis, she was already out of sorts, even if she won 6-4, 6-2. Or at least that's what I think it was, the scoreline. Yeah, and which is Jarry's best shot, says Sean. Honestly, I feel like there's no other answer to this than the serve. Like,
yeah,
the ground strokes are
like,
fairly comparable to me.
If you take out the serve, what else would you say? Like maybe his drives, like his, I don't know, like the backhand drive in the middle of the court is pretty good. I don't know, like just his. I don't really know. Yeah, the serve is the big one that sort of stands out. Everything else is all set up behind it. So
yeah, he's got a good ground game, like, or at least
he does. Like he's pretty good off of both wings.
On his day, let's say, because sometimes it's just so erratic. But on his day, but yeah, I would struggle to tell you if like if we just strip it down to forehand serve backhand, I would struggle to tell you if the forehand or backhand is better. It's definitely the serve.
But
if we're not including the serve, it would be tough.
He can hurt you off of that backhand wing as well. Like if he has enough time, like he can really rip it. It's cross court and just like that rally that we saw with Carlos slicing backhands and then him just like 4-5-1. Each one was a little bit more cross court.
It starts with the serve, but of course the rest is pretty sharp as well.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be where he is right now if it wasn't. I actually have a question relating to that, but I'm going to wait until the end of the first set, I think, since we are basically in the tiebreak already, and we are in fact in the tiebreak already as Jarry fires another ace. So that one great return that Alcaraz hit eventually didn't end up mattering. I think it's actually 2-0 when it comes to tiebreaks in this rivalry for the Chilean as well. So we'll see if he can extend his lead. Yeah, he won the first set at Rio in a tiebreak and the second one at Wimbledon. Rio, I think, was like a 7-2 maybe even, and Wimbledon, I would say 8-6 or something like that. So they've been different in terms of how they were played out too.
Yeah. This definitely was Alcaraz's toughest match before the final at Wimbledon, easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And people probably forget about that a little bit because there was no fifth set. However, Jarry led like 5-2 or 5-3 in the fourth. I mean, he was definitely serving for it and then lost like 4 or 5 games in a row. So it easily could have been tougher. And right now, Carlos Alcaraz is making things a little bit tough for himself with the double fault to begin the tiebreak.
Ooh.
Ghosty says that he knows with Samsonova. Ask me, I'll tell you. Okay, Ghosty. So what's going to be Lyudmila Samsonova's next week? Like, what is she going to do in Dubai? If you know, tell us then.
To whom and in what round?
Well, that's not a bold prediction if you're saying that. However, I'm gonna come back to laugh at you if Samsonova wins the title. Yes. I guess she hasn't won one at the WTA 1000 level yet, but she's made
Nope.
finals, obviously.
Yep.
And I think we talked about this on like maybe the quiz that Jack did, that Samsonova actually didn't have a title last year, which was kind of surprising, given she made a couple of big finals.
Yeah, should have won in Abu Dhabi against Bencic. That was the one where she had that on her racket.
Yeah, and she was totally destroyed by the scheduling in Montreal. Oh, Toronto or Montreal? I never know.
Yeah, Montreal, I think.
Montreal, yeah.
There was also another sliding doors moment with the Iga leading 4-2 in the third against Piccola, but also the Cotton Eye Joe match.
And I guess the scenario would have been similar, right? I mean, she also would get Samsonova playing her second match in a row, so I guess it would have been a title. And from that point onwards, that could have changed so many things as well. So basically, at some point, it's tough to keep looking at the what ifs, even because with every single day, they just spread into very different paths and potential permutations. Anyway, 3-1 up now, Jarry, with a big backhand return. Carlos not really like recovering yet, even after the serve. Not really getting back into position. Definitely a sloppy start of the tiebreak for him on serve.
Yeah.
At least. And there we see that Nicolas Jarry backhand in full flow. And it kind of makes me want to say that maybe Jarry's best shot, besides the serve, is the backhand after all.
I was thinking about that, yeah. Like, I really like his backhand. I compared him to Kevin Anderson, but I think, that's also a similarity, maybe. Their backhands are a little underappreciated, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, everything in Candy's game and probably in Jarry's as well is underappreciated, right? Because the serve just covers all the debate, really, all the discussion. Anytime someone brings them up, you're like, yeah, serve bot, big server. And no one really talks about anything anymore. I think he's made it.
Yeah, I know this is going to be a topic. If Alcaraz loses today or tomorrow, I mean, everyone's going to be like, oh, it's been like 9 tournaments since Wimbledon, and he hasn't won a title, and should we be worried? Basically, that's going to be the main question.
Yes, Nurlan, I think that's not really a question, really, what you just said. That do you think Carlos's toughest surface will be fast hard courts for the rest of his career, even tougher than grass, given the way he got absolutely outplayed by Zverev at the Australian Open? It's not the first time he struggles on faster hard courts. Grass, of course, these days maybe isn't even that fast, especially at Wimbledon, and also it's a natural surface. It does suit his sort of creativity, inventiveness more. So yeah, I think 100% fast hard courts are not what he is going to be the best at. Whereas all the other conditions, feasibly, he could be very dominant on at some points of his career. I think he's gonna be better, at the ATP finals than Nadal, for example. But it's also not that big a gap. Like it's not that big a goal, I guess. Rafa really compared to all of his other records, he kind of sucks at the ATP finals, which or indoors as a whole.
Yep.
At least indoor hard courts.
Yeah, but then there's also like Paris, which I mean, there's like some that are faster hard, some that are slower indoors.
Yeah,
I guess
it used to
Basel is
be
pretty quick.
faster, slower.
ATP finals is pretty quick. Paris is like medium.
There's not that many of them, definitely not anymore. Like all the
Most of them are
European
slow.
indoor hard events are like in a race of who gets to make their surface the slowest the last few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been a pretty poor tiebreak for Carlos Alcaraz. Obviously, Jarry also finding a couple of big blows. That +1
I
forehand
guess
on the
he'll
line.
be
For
thinking about the match in Rio if he loses this.
Well, he lost that tiebreak 2-7, I think. So there is a chance for that as well. I don't know if they're going to be thinking about it really, but
I don't know if he's gonna be coming up with that insane forehand cross court passing shot
yeah.
at the start of the third set and then bagel him. But yeah.
Also, maybe this time he's not going to end the match injured. But he does lose the tiebreak 2-7 after a pretty horrible +1 forehand again. So yeah, just a tiebreak to forget for Alcaraz really. And Jarry gets the set, which was very tight.
I guess when he lost those two service points at 1-2, that's when it felt like writing was on the wall as far as this tiebreak goes.
Yeah.
And actually, you have to give credit to Jarry because he played two very good points at 2-1. And of course, the double fault was
4-1.
and then
I don't know if I remember the 3-1.
I think that was just a backhand, and then a slice defensive miss. And then the 4-1 was also same, like backhand down the line.
Yeah, that 4-1 4-1 I remember for sure. But
the other
yeah,
one was just like backhand crosses and then like.
You can see on the screen as well that Alcaraz won 20 out of his 22 first serve points in the opening set. I don't feel like many of these were in the tiebreak, right? I mean, he didn't make any first serves, maybe one or two max, and it didn't
actually,
really.
That's what hurt him. That's what allowed Jarry to be super aggressive in those 2 points because.
Yeah,
I mean, Alcaraz missed both first serves, both in
he
1-2.
He missed like at least 3 first serves in the tiebreak out of 9 points. I think he missed 4.
Yeah.
And compared to his
1-2, 1-3, and then the first point was a double fault, and then I think one after that, so 4.
Yeah, so I think 4 out of 5. So given that in the entire set he was at 22 out of 34, that's a massive dip. And I'm not saying that's what sort of made him lose it. However, that definitely gave a helping hand to Jarry and sort of made Alcaraz have to win points different ways, and he was completely unable to do that. He was completely out of it in this breaker. But yeah, sort of coming back to what we had in the chat, Nurlan, yes, I feel like that's an absolute given. Sean is saying, at what point do we worry about Alcaraz if he doesn't get another title for a while? Probably if he doesn't pick one up in Buenos Aires, Rio, more so Sunshine Double than probably like Indian Wells. If he is poor in Indian Wells, that's going to be another point. But then again, what does it mean? We worry? Like, even if there was a bigger slump, would we expect it to last forever?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, what should we be worried about? I mean, let's say he doesn't win a slam this year. That would be something to, would be like, oh, okay, that's. I mean, that's kind of all that matters, right?
We were talking about that, that basically if you don't win a slam and you're Iga Świątek or Carlos Alcaraz, it's a failed year, like regardless of how well you do everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, unless you win like, I don't know, 4 or 5 master, like you pick up a bunch of other titles. I kind of think even
then.
Yeah, or let's say
maybe
that you have really good
finish
showings.
number 1. Maybe if you finish number 1.
Let's say he has like 3 really other good showings and then he loses to Djokovic or Sinner. I don't know.
I still think
Depends.
it's a failed year. Then he's lost to his biggest rivals. Yes, he had good
Yeah.
showings, but I think I mean, you win a slam, it's a good year. You don't, it's not. Like it seems very
It's
simple, I
crazy.
know,
I know.
but that's kind of what's important. Like that's kind of what is historically
Yeah.
important. Rune's deep more, yes, Sean. Rune, I think we already sort of talked about this. That if Rune doesn't do anything, the Clay 1000s. That's I think when we are going to be starting to like sound the alarm, and that's probably the point where like he has to recover by then in order to stay relevant, I suppose.
Also, most of his losses so far since Wimbledon have come against, top 10 players. The two that weren't were Dimitrov and Safiulin.
Alcaraz. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Rune. I was like, really? No, but
No.
okay. Yeah, Alcaraz. Yeah, Alcaraz actually outside the top 20 since the beginning of the 2023 season, he's only lost twice.
Yeah.
And that's
Marozsan
Marozsan and Safiulin. Yeah. Jarry would be the first.
a couple of really good
although
points.
technically Jarry is 21st, right, in the rankings. So
Mm.
yeah,
So this a couple of really good points to get to
a
love
couple of
30.
really good points, and it really shrinks the margins for Jarry, who tries to go for a big +1 backhand down the line, and he misses it. So first break points of the entire match, right? First break points, and it's already free for Carlos Alcaraz, who's come out looking more, pumped, more motivated to keep playing this.
Mhm.
We'll see.
Yeah, when you take a look at the whole draw and you see the possible opponents in Buenos Aires and Rio, Jarry was the first name that came to my mind as like Alcaraz has to be playing well to win that match,
Yeah. Stylistically, it's pretty tough. I think Jarry as well. I think Jarry is pretty tough in the quarters. Like just the combination of consistency, but at the same time having good weight of shot. I mean, it's not really Alcaraz specific, right? I mean, Jarry is pretty nasty to play against, and I think that's maybe another one. But of course, that match never came to fruition. Who did Ugo Carabelli beat in the opening round? Like who was potentially Alcaraz's rival?
Oh yeah.
Jesus, Monteiro? No.
No. I don't know if there was a potential rival I was circling at, but
Well, I don't think there was someone who I expected. I'm just thinking about it. Was there a potential threat there? Let me check that actually. Then, but yeah, Alcaraz eventually. Jarry saved one breakpoint. Let's see about the next one. Varias. Yeah. Okay, then no, not in this format.
Oh yeah, Juan Pablo Varias. Okay.
And that's the break, right? Do you have it already?
I'm watching the 40-15 point.
Oh.
And yes, that is the break. And that's the break.
A friend of mine is delusional, and ever since he saw the Rio draw and Alcaraz is playing Monteiro there in the opening round, he said that Monteiro. First, he said that Monteiro has a 14% chance to win, and
14?
then
1-4?
yeah, 14. And then he keeps saying as well that if this goes free and if the final potentially goes free, if Alcaraz arrives in Rio tired, he's gonna lose to Monteiro. Yeah, no.
Is he Brazilian?
No. He's American. I just told him that if Alcaraz plays for 5 hours here and even for 5 hours tomorrow, he's not losing to Monteiro.
Probably
Although
not.
Mateusz Alves last year, right, did pretty well against Carlos, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. He
It's
won
pretty
like 8
fun,
games.
pretty funny, but yeah. Last year, Mateusz Alves was like the main prospect in Rio, I guess, because of how he played, whereas
Actually, Alcaraz
Fonseca
was
was
really not on
horrible.
it for a lot of those matches in Rio last year. He really wasn't playing his best against Fonini,
Yeah.
against
Lajovic?
Jarry, against Lajovic too. Even though like stylistically that's a pretty good matchup for him, but yeah.
I don't actually know if
Actually,
if
Lajovic
it.
was playing really well last year, but he just kept running into Carlos.
Yeah. He had a very good goal.
ran into Carlos times.
He will be slightly disappointed about this one as well because he actually was super good in the first 2 rounds. He loses in straights to Diaz Acosta. He would have had a great chance at the final. And I don't actually think it's that easy stylistically for Carlos playing against Lajovic and just, how smart Dusan is. And... Ooh, has Alcaraz found it? I think he has. Holy hell. I mean, 15-30 down. He manages to find this insane backhand down the line. That's barely getting in.
All right, time to watch it now.
Sorry, I'm trying.
No, I know. Can't really do anything about that. Oh, yes. Yeah, that was a good change of direction. Stayed nice and low on it, and actually did a really good job of absorbing the pace.
Well, thank you, Sean, for the super sticker, they call it, apparently. Isn't Jarry just a Clay Isner? I mean, John Isner was actually pretty good on clay. But in what sense would he be a Clay Isner? Like, what would sort of make the difference between them? The quality of the footwork? The serve also not being, as huge as Isner's, obviously, because it's tough to get there. But yeah, Jarry has a real baseline game. I can't really say that John Isner had a real baseline game.
Yeah.
Then again, of course, Jarry recently developed his hardcourt game, his grass court game. Last year was very solid on all slams, on conditions, really. Because if I don't know if you guys remember that, but before 2023, Jarry's slam records were like absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but would you say Australian Open was disappointing for him?
Kobori, slightly. I mean, that's kind of more or less what I expect from Jarry, right? Like it wasn't bad. It was just average, I think.
Although he had a lot of chances in that fifth set.
Yeah. So if we're talking about that, yes. If we're talking about the net result, losing to Kobori in second round 5 sets, I think that's more or less.
But then I think he probably would have lost to Divinor. So then it would just be like that would be where it would end for him.
You never know. I mean, he definitely would have had a better shot. Also, Kobori Deminor, was that not no, that was a third round, right? Yeah, third round, because Deminor played Rublev in 4, in the 4th. But yeah, I mean, you kind of have to give Jarry the benefit of the doubt there, I think, and you kind of have to give him a chance anytime he plays a top 20, top 10 player, like really regardless of who that is and the conditions, really, because he's just so good at making matches a lottery.
Except now it is break point in second serve for Alcaraz. Did he just go huge on that second serve? He went huge on that. That was the second serve, right?
Yeah, I think so. It is a break, so that Carlos Alcaraz sort of momentum switch at the beginning of the set has actually been made redundant by Jarry.
Yeah.
John is surprisingly active in the chat. Is he just bored by the match? Ghosty is very, very sort of negative about returning from 15 feet behind the baseline. I don't know. I mean, maybe if you played Nicolas Jarry, maybe you would be returning there as well. I mean, I have never obviously faced a server of Nicolas Jarry's class, so maybe I would be at the back fence as well. But in a situation like this, in a point like this, it definitely kind of hurts Alcaraz here because there's nothing he can do with Jarry just throwing himself at the net.
Yeah, when you see other people do it, you sort of, and they have success, you also gotta kind of try it too sometimes. I remember when Federer played Geneva in 2021, he was standing way back and returning serves. Is that against Andujar?
Pablo Andujar, yeah.
And like normally he'd never do that.
Well, on clay, maybe sometimes, to give himself some time on that backhand return, second serve, especially.
Actually, I did see him do it a few times, like once against Monfils, I think in Roland Garros.
The match he 2015.
I think 15.
Yeah, 15, just before Wawrinka. That seemed like a very tough one at the time, and yeah, kind of was, I guess.
This is a really tough one now for Alcaraz.
Oh, definitely, and yeah, just the fact that he got that break early on, you kind of felt like, okay, maybe he runs away with the set, or at least has a bit of a dominant lead for the next 4 games, but that's gone now, and it's gonna be Jarry sort of continuously putting him under pressure here, probably. So
The other thing you got to look at is that since Wimbledon, assuming, because I'm just going to say Sinner wins tomorrow, he beats de Minaur. So he beats de Minaur. Since then, he's won 5 titles since Wimbledon of last year, and all of a sudden he's now 12-4 in finals. And I guess if Alcaraz doesn't win here, him and Sinner are going to be tied for the first time in terms of ATP titles and also their finals record, both 12-4. Of course, Alcaraz still having 3 more Masters 1000s and 1 more Slam, but I mean their resumes are getting closer and closer. Also, I think Sinner is now guaranteed to become number 3.
Yes, he is.
I mean, if he wins tomorrow, he'll be number 3 already. But if he doesn't, then he'll get it after Doha.
Yeah, because Daniel is gonna drop his 250 points anyway, and I don't think Sinner played that week last year, right?
And actually, number 3 feels a little underranked for him right now. So
yeah, I mean, since Wimbledon, he's been number 2 or number 1. So since Wimbledon, I guess I'm including Toronto and the U.S. Open, but specifically since Beijing, he's been number 2 or number 1.
Basically, the only 3 events that didn't really go according to, let's say, plan for his seed was Cincinnati, U.S. Open, and Shanghai.
Well, Paris as well.
Yeah, but
yeah, I know he didn't lose that, but yeah, I mean, if we're going just Beijing, since Beijing, we kind of have to say that Sinner has been the number 1, been the best player in the world. Like, there's no real way to even debate Djokovic. I think since Wimbledon, yeah, of course, I would still say that Djokovic is probably at least tied, probably ahead. However, since Beijing, there's no real discussion there. So yeah, I mean, number 3 is definitely temporary for now, and if he keeps up the results, especially over the next few months, there's every chance for him to keep going. I think we actually talked about this on one of the streams just a couple of days ago, that the Sinner clay season, how good it is, might really determine whether he gets to number 1, whether he gets to number 2. Just the fact that
I don't really
The
see any
last
reason why he
season.
would struggle, on clay this year. He's probably still a top 4 player on clay.
I mean, struggle, no, but let's say he only puts in like last year, like about 1,000 points.
Yeah,
That's not struggling. That's basically getting to like a few quarterfinals, semis probably, but it's not winning titles. It's not making finals. In last year, obviously, he was very close to winning Monte Carlo actually, and I
yeah,
think well, maybe obviously is a stretch because I'm sort of operating under the assumption that he would have beaten Rublev in the final, but I do
yeah,
strongly believe that that would have been the case.
yeah. Well, I felt like the winner of Runa Sinner was going to win the whole title. That didn't quite work out in the end, but that's what it
Yeah,
seemed
but it's
like.
like one of these predictions that was actually right.
Yeah,
It was
so
just
because breakpoint for 5-1 in the third. I mean, it's like, how wrong were you? Not
that's
really.
one thing, and the other thing is that from the very beginning of that match, Rune was not in good shape. So
Right.
you take that away, and it seems like he would have had it.
So yeah, and then of course then he withdrew in Barcelona, and then he had to skip
Yeah.
Madrid, and then like Rome, he lost to Cerundolo after winning the first set in a tiebreak.
And Daniel Altmaier also was a thing.
Yeah,
So basically, after Monte Carlo, he has nothing to defend on clay, which is what I'm
yeah,
saying is that, which is why I'm saying that the clay season will kind of determine it for me because if he, let's say, finds 2,000 points in the clay swing, or if he finds 500, 600, 700, it's going to be a major difference. And that's the sort of window where he can really capitalize on that and add some new points to his ranking. Obviously, Wimbledon as well. If he wins it, for example, that would be massive. I mean, I know that there are some other results that will be helpful, but I think just the way we're sort of the info that we have right now, the way we're looking at it, it seems like the clay swing might actually be kind of determining his status for the rest of the year. Anyway, 2 games all. No issues for now, but it's going to be Jarry putting on that scoreboard pressure if he can keep holding, and it's not a great situation to find himself in for Alcaraz.
Also, in this Indian Wells in Miami, it is true that Alcaraz's competition will be, better than it was last year. You would have to say so because Djokovic is going to be back. Also, Sinner is a better player than he was a year ago, so that already makes it tougher. Zverev is a better player than he was a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah,
Rune is the
Rune
worst
is not,
player
no.
he was, yeah.
But yeah, I guess those three is really what I'm thinking. Medvedev, remains to be seen, but yeah,
Taylor Fritz in Monte Carlo.
yeah.
Top
I
5
said,
ball strike.
yeah.
Ghosty, I don't
He
think it
moved at
started
that,
late in his career because Ghosty's talking about that deep return thing again and about Rafa. Like Rafa did not start it late in his career.
It has been a thing on clay for a while. I don't know if I don't think Rafa was the first guy to do it. No, there were others, but probably he's the most famous example.
Yeah, but like before him, before let's say the big four era, would you see anyone really
Yeah,
standing at the fence and picking up serves there?
probably
Not
not,
really.
probably not that far back, but like I don't know, Korea, Puerta. I don't know if they really had that as a trademark, or they sort of developed it later on, or
Yeah, there was also not that much to really be scared of when it comes to the other guys' serves. Like, Coria Puerta. I know they maybe from time to time they could face like a Roddick or something, but most of the time, I guess, especially with the surfaces being so different, like before the homogenization times, like you could probably avoid playing an Ivanisevic on clay your entire career.
Courier won 2 French Opens that he did not sit in the front row on serve return. Yeah, Courier was not one of those that did that. I don't think. But like a Sergei
Yeah.
Bergara,
Who
maybe.
did he play? Who did Courier play at these French Opens? Like
Agassi and Bergara.
yeah, was there a point to that sort of returning? Not really, right?
I don't think so. I mean, if you're playing Agassi, I don't know if you want to be standing that far
Yeah,
back and
I mean,
take advantage of that.
definitely don't. Sometimes you would get like servant volleyers, right? So I don't know, you would play a Boris Becker on clay, who actually was pretty decent on clay, or a Pete Sampras, and then you can't stand that far back. So maybe in a way, when people were servant volleying half the time, you kind of couldn't do it either. But right now, with the new technology as well and everything, maybe you can actually pull it off. Whereas in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you would just be servant volleyed off the court by someone. Courier played Michael Stich, for example, in the semis. Courier played Stefan Edberg at the French in the quarterfinals in 91. Like that's not a matchup where he could have stayed far back and won. And probably the same goes for his 92. Yeah, 92 he plays Goran Ivanisevic in the quarterfinals, for example. He does play a lot of clay players there. Andriy Medvedev.
Edward was really close to winning the French Open. Probably should have had it 1 year.
Michael Chang.
Yeah.
Or not. I guess that's the year, right? Because that was the final.
89, yeah. Like that was the year.
I think what's like sort of worse in terms of people not getting the French Open done was McEnroe Land. That could have been like
by far, yeah.
Yeah, that could have been the most legendary season ever, really. And well, on the men's side at least, not on par with Navratilova's, but Navratilova also didn't win the French.
I think he still has the best win-loss of any season of any player. 82, 83.
On the ATP, yeah.
Yeah.
On the WTA, you've got Navratilova with that 84 as well. 83. 83 or 84.
Something, yeah. But like
no, I mean 83 as in the year. I mean, she only lost one match, I think, right?
Yeah, it was like 87-1 or some crazy number.
Yeah. I meant in terms of the year. I don't know if it's 83 or 84, but one of these anyway. Good trivia question, by the way. Who did she lose to?
In that 1 year? Was it Mendlikova or something?
No, it's a random player. That's why it's a good trivia question.
Is it really random? Okay, I don't know.
I don't know her for anything else. Like, obviously, if we were living in that decade in the 80s, we would have known her, being, on a similar level of tennis fandom as we are right now. We would have known her, but I don't know her for anything else.
Oh, who is it? I don't know, actually.
Kathy Horvath, I believe is her name.
Okay.
So, yeah, sorry to her if she's actually, someone I should know for anything else, but now that I'm checking it, even her Wikipedia says she is best known for upsetting world number 1 Martina Navratilova. But apparently Kathy Horvath was number 10 in the world at one point, and she made 2 French Open quarterfinals. So, she, we would have known her if we were living in that decade, yes. But because we didn't, we kind of know her only for that. Yeah, I mean, Agassi definitely had a different style of returning, but, does different mean better? Probably, as he's one of the best returners in the history of the sport.
Yeah, he was a guy who could just hit clean winners off that return,
Yeah.
He was probably the best offensive returner, maybe, of all time. Debatable, but yeah. It's him and Djokovic and Connors.
Sean is asking if we would be good on general knowledge quizzes as well. Depending on, what good means.
Depends the subject.
I feel good on general knowledge in general, like when in general knowledge in general. But yeah, when we're playing like whatever with friends, that's like includes trivia or I don't know pub quizzes or whatever.
Have you
Usually, I
played
would be
Jeopardy?
good at. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know if I've played it. Is it like a
I
board
mean, I
game
mean, I
version?
mean, I mean, not played it. Sorry, like you watched it, like familiar with it.
Mhm. Yeah, I've watched a few episodes. Yeah, we have a similar. Well, in Poland, we have a version of Jeopardy, but I don't watch it. But we have a similar sort of thing, which is called, I think, jeden z 10, so that would be like 1 out of 10 or something like that. And it's literally 10 contestants, and it's like this very, it's very focused on the questions. Like literally, the only thing that is in the show is the questions. It's not like some other game shows where you have a lot of like other extra stuff. They're talking to the contestants and like there's a lot of stuff happening, and the actual questions are like 8 or 10 per episode. It's like very down to the point, which is somewhat like Jeopardy in a way, right, in terms of its approach. And that one I used to watch quite a lot. 30-40 now. 2-3 down, Carlos Alcaraz.
Speaking
So
of
this
Jeopardy, this is real Jeopardy now for Alcaraz.
yeah. He'll try to make it a double Jeopardy and get out of it, but
Yeah.
let's
Maybe
see.
he's gonna need a daily double to save him.
Daily double, yeah. Daily double could be a double fault in tennis, and that's not good. No, Ghosty, actually, the Polish version of Jeopardy is called Vabank. But yeah, Carlos Alcaraz saves it. Just a very clean, sort of classic clay court point. Serve out wide, forehand into the other direction.
Yep. Kick serve.
It could be one of the first points like that he's actually had in this match as well. Like, most of the time, Jarry isn't so far out of the court. And this time they called the double bounce.
I'm more surprised that he couldn't consolidate the break once he got it in the second set than I am about the tie break.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when he got that break, it seemed like he would just run away with, at least the first half of the set or something. But
he goes for a drop shot. Let's see if Jarry can get there. Or he does not get there in one bounce. So it is game point.
Yeah. And this time they called the double bounce, right? Earlier not. Oh, and with that previous thing, what you said, I remember I was also going to say, when he said depends on the categories, definitely. Like if you give me biology, physics, something like that, I'm going to die. I'm not going to be helpful at all. But if we are talking like pop culture or something, I'd probably be pretty okay. Geography, history.
Yeah, for me, it was like geography, history, or pop culture, movies.
Yeah.
Movies not so much.
These ones I would be good at. But biology, anything about nature, how life works, and in general, no. I've always been very uninterested in that.
I haven't been really a science guy, so I can relate. Other than like psychology, I guess that's technically science. But
it is technically. I mean, technically everything can be science, I guess. But...
Oh, and then the other one, please don't ask about the Bible. I don't know anything. I just guess every time. Jesus, Matthew, something. I pick the random common biblical names. Like David.
Well, I was born in a Roman Catholic family, I guess.
Yeah,
so
that would help.
I know some. Being an atheist since I was like maybe 10 does not help, but I know some. I'm definitely better than most people who weren't brought up in this religion, in a religion that is based around the Bible, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, the next point is pretty funny. I don't understand what happened, honestly, until the very end. I guess I want to see a replay, but I'm assuming that Jarry just didn't land that, like, framed this put away. Honestly, kind of good on Carlos to keep running for it, because after that net court, I don't know if I would have been able to just keep going for the shot.
Oh my god. How is he that fast? I mean, it's not the first time we're watching him, but yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the reaction of everyone in the crowd who is watching him for the first time, which probably you'd
Yeah.
find people like
I mean,
that
honestly,
there.
this kind of speed, you just like. I'm sorry, like you can work as hard as you can in the gym, but like, and on the track, but like, you're some of the stuff you're just born with. Like that's insane. It's just like such fast twitch muscle fibers to be able to like explosively cover that much ground in like 5 steps.
Look at you with the terminology, and you said you weren't about science. Does Nicolas Jarry have the same kind of speed? Honestly, kinda. I mean, you're gonna have to see that next point. Like now, this is some spectacular running from Nicolas Jarry. I don't
Okay,
know how
wow,
it's
wow.
possible.
Okay.
Even
You've
I
set
mean,
the bar really high with that. Now I need to see the point.
yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna meet your expectations. I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is some pretty spectacular speed.
I don't think Kevin Anderson was gonna get there. By the way,
No, I don't think so. I mean, that was really good defending, and the forehand squash shot too. Wow. I mean, that is really like a. I mean, though, like, could he do this? Like, if he had to do this 10 times, how often do you think he'd pull that off? Okay, so maybe this is the part of the match where they bring out the best in each other.
yeah. And if Carlos Alcaraz loses this match, and if we're mostly talking about the first set tiebreak, and how he was like really poor there. Let's also remember that if Nicolas Jarry wins this match, it's probably because he's also an awesome tennis player.
Correct. The other thing is that the other theme with Alcaraz has been like the drop off after a really close first set. In some of his matches recently, although not, I don't know if you can really.
Sinner Indian Wells is what I'm thinking of. That's not too recent, but Sinner Beijing.
Sinner,
Sinner
yeah,
Beijing.
Sinner Beijing, the Medvedev match, U.S. Open, second set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, even the match in the World Tour Finals against Zverev.
I don't remember that. Was it like a 6-4, 6-4? No.
No, in that one he actually won.
Oh, that was the one when he won the
At the
tiebreak in the
start of the
second set,
second,
right?
where his level dropped just a little bit, and then
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But it wasn't that glaring, I guess. It was also like a match that we were like, fully expecting him to lose, so it's a little different, I guess.
yeah, but it's just maybe just a few more lapses in concentration.
I mean, am I Roman Catholic ghosty? I mean, I said I was born in a family that at least at least my mother is, but you know, I'm not. I don't consider myself to be. I don't believe in God. How much speed can a 6'6" guy have? It takes him 4 steps to cross the court. I mean, I don't know, Ghosty, if you saw that point, but that was pretty insane, actually, from Jarry.
It is just kind of the thing. A lot of players are 6'4" to 6'6", and they can cover the court really, really well. It's just a thing. The last few years, of course, it's not completely new. You had it with other players who were 6'6" in the past. Safin,
So,
Cilic,
Safin is 6'6"? Oh, maybe he is, yeah, actually.
or like 6'4" to 6'6". So
Yeah,
like
I
not.
would say Safin is like distinctly smaller than Jarry still. Like it's not really like when we're talking about their physicality, speed, footwork, like we can't really compare these two. I think Cilic
True.
to Anderson, Cilic to Anderson or Jarry, we can probably start comparing him, and Del Potro for sure. Yeah, Cilic and Del Potro still
Medvedev and
look.
Zverev are just in another league.
Yeah, I mean Cilic and Del Potro still look like a lot more. I don't know, like how do you say that? Like their posture is pretty regular compared to Jarry or Anderson. Like they're not, they don't seem like giants, right? They are just maybe more evenly built. Whereas
Hmm.
Jarry and Anderson, you like already see just looking at them that they are very like unnaturally built, if you may. And I guess that is a thing as well. But yeah, Safin I wouldn't really be putting into the same category. I think Safin had like no disadvantages when it comes to his movement coming from his height. If he had any disadvantages to
How
his
tall was
movement,
he?
it
I
was
mean, I thought he
probably
was like
shape.
6'4", 6'4" at least. Let's see.
6'4" is possible, but I think that's like the max, really.
6'4", yeah. I mean, there's a lot of players within that height range these
Yeah,
days.
like maybe he was one of the tallest back in the day, but it wasn't actively like making his movement worse.
No, he was a good mover, but like,
Like Delpo Cilic with that sort of height, it's definitely quite uncanny to be moving this well because neither really ever was a bad mover either. Anderson Jarry, I mean, definitely you can already see some fragility
drop off.
fragility
Yeah.
coming from that. Yeah, especially Anderson, it seems, but still he was always like perceived as an actually pretty decent mover compared to other servers of his class.
Yeah. And then of course,
Where
then you have people like Raonic and Berrettini, with a different type of build who are 6'5", but their emphasis is much more upper body and less so
yeah,
the lower one. So
yeah, they don't have any issues either. Well, obviously they're not going
well,
to be Alcaraz, but they're fine. Like it's not what's limiting their game really for the most part. Right now, it seems like what's limiting their games is more injuries, which also comes from the
yes,
build sometimes. That type of physical build just not being able to sustain the effort, the um, yeah discipline of professional tennis. Anyway, this might be another very tough moment for Carlos Alcaraz. Love 30 tries to serve in volley. Jarry like knocks his racket out of his hand with this backhand return.
oh yikes! Jarry was ready for that.
Yeah, and maybe we can't say yet that it's too much, like he's 2 points away from the match, but it's kind of like that.
Hmm.
What a stupid idea. What a very stupid, very lucky idea. Also,
Oh my word! Yeah, I've just seen that point.
yeah. I mean, Alcaraz, well, I guess there's merit to going for a drop shot when no one expects it, right? When the opponent
He
least expects
can
it.
he can do that. He can just pull off those. So I mean, if he doesn't make it, then it looks.
Jarry is laughing after the next point too because it's like I'm just gonna let you see it. I don't even know what to say
Is it
anymore.
one of those points that's just like stupid, stupid good? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god. I'm not done seeing it yet, but yes, I have seen the finish. Oh, yes, that is just
Jarry is
good.
just laughing after that as well. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. I mean, the drop shot wasn't even that good, but then that drive that he hits, what the hell is that even?
Yeah.
And it actually seems pretty safe, the way he does it. It's kind of wild. He has brought himself to 30 all, but of course, still a lot of pressure. I mean, you said earlier, like a couple of games ago, that this might be the moment when they like bring the best out of each other, but like this is the game, maybe. I mean, the next point is just ridiculous too, and I'm not going to tell you who wins it, obviously, but both players deserve quite a lot of praise.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I thought Carlos had it, with that last sort of defensive squash shot.
Yeah.
Just seemed like that's really a fantastic research given the situation in the point, but Jarry was there. Jarry was there with that very quickly fought drop shot. So anyway, break point, the virtual match point, if you may.
And that's the break.
That's the break. Jarry was ready for a big forehand return, hitting like Alcaraz right in the middle. He couldn't get away in time. He doesn't get the return over the net. So 7-6, 5-3, and Jarry serving for the match, serving for his first win against Carlos Alcaraz, serving to get his top 10 record to an 8-11, and for the best win of his career as well. He actually has a worse top 10 record, by the way, on clay than on other surfaces, which is kind of interesting too. But I think it is somewhat skewed. I think he played
What do you
the
think?
top.
Like 10 of those are against Tsitsipas? I mean, no, sorry, 10 of those.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 matches on grass against Steph, right? That he wins. So it's a little skewed in my opinion, but still, it's kind of funny to think about it. He is 3-7 against the top 10 on clay and 4-4 on other surfaces. But yeah, against Tsitsipas, he also lost in Los Cabos. He lost in Monte Carlo, right? So I think it's like 4 matches against Steph.
Yeah, and then those 2018 ones against Chilich and Team, probably. Oh, and then Rude also in Geneva.
Yeah, Ruud in Geneva, Ruud at Roland Garros. Obviously, at Roland Garros, the loss. But yeah, overall, 7-11 or maybe soon even 8-11 is definitely an awesome top 10 record. It's kind of like Ugo Humbert, right? He's like 10-12 right now, I think.
Yeah, really close. At one point, Cerundolo and Karatsev were pretty good too.
I'm
But not
assuming
so
Fran, not Juan Manuel.
much. Of course.
I don't know if Juan Manuel has ever even played the top 10 player, honestly. Definitely didn't beat one, but I don't know if he's ever played one. Yeah, Karatsev probably started pretty well in that, but I'm assuming it's kind of deteriorated since. Daniel Altmaier is famously 3-2 against the top 10, but it's, even compared to Jarry, it's low sample size, even if Jarry's might not be that huge anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, he might be getting that 8th win here.
Yeah, then there's like Jan Lennart Struff, who I think has like 12 top 10 wins, but still searching for that first title. That was some serve to get to 30-15. So Alcaraz is just gonna have to be just hoping for some kind of magic, just block these returns back, get into a rally somehow, and just do something crazy. It's not in his control anymore. But yeah, I mean that is quite something that he was up on a break in the second set, and then really since then he's managed to win 2 more games. Oh, did he find it? Did he find the pass? He did find the pass. He found it.
Yes, indeed. It's similar to that forehand drive he hit earlier, just this time from behind the baseline.
Holy moly! Yeah, full stretch. Got it cross court. Oh, double fault. Handing Alcaraz a lifeline. Nobody finds the first serve, and he hits the spot. By the way, for a while, for a split second in the first set, I thought that was Kelsey Anderson in the box.
Maybe they're the same person, Maybe they're the same person. Not Kelsey and Nico Jarry's wife, but Nico Jarry and Kevin Anderson. Have we ever seen them in another? What is Nico Jarry's record against Thomas Berdych? In case anyone doesn't know what I'm referring to, Kevin Anderson famously has a 0-12 record against Thomas Berdych. That's all in 3 years as well.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's pretty clearly out, but I do understand why Alcaraz wanted the umpire to check it out, but it's clearly out.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have been an awesome shot if he makes it, but
Yeah, that would have gone on Sports Center. That's what they say in the States. So we're 1 point away from not getting the Iga and Carlos double.
yeah, maybe, or maybe we might. Who knows? Maybe it's a comeback, but well, I guess if Alcaraz loses today, then we will also have to record like tomorrow or something. But well, still not over. Well, for the Iga Carlos tennis show, I think even one title is already decent. The fans of either player, I think, are more likely to listen to a congratulatory, show full of praise rather than actually critique and looking for what went wrong. I mean, yeah, we are really in ridiculous territory now. Of course, it was a Jarry double fault to make him lose that match point. But
I am not looking at the scoreboard, nor am I looking at you because I do not want any spoilers. So that's why I'm just going to be watching this point at deuce.
Yeah.
I know my yes.
That was the least excited "oh my yes" I've ever seen or heard. Actually,
I'm still just processing the point. That's why. Oh,
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at the reaction, but wow,
It was actually a pretty great volley from Jarry. I mean, Alcaraz did have
it
quite a lot
was.
of time on it, but I think Jarry did what he could with it. He gets lobbed down the line. But still, can he actually find the break, Alcaraz?
Yeah. And can Jarry find the first serve? Or the second serve? He does find the first serve, but will it be enough? Oh, he tries to go for the lob again, but this time Jarry is.
Yeah, it was way too short. But still, it's decent composure for Jarry to even win the point, because after that return, I was like, oh, okay, he's going to miss the +1 forehand. Like, that was a situation where I think he often misses, or, any player really can miss, because it is like kind of a bit too short for comfort. Puffy G is going to have a field day. You're going to see why soon.
Yeah, I don't really want to hear it.
No, there's a specific reason why I mentioned him. You're going to see after the point.
Oh, is it? Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because basically whenever Carlos Alcaraz throws his racket around, or does something that isn't considered that cool.
Just any other player, he'll have a whole thread about it.
Yeah, but mostly Alcaraz, yeah, with the way that the establishment is, covering it up, or something like that. I've seen that a lot. So I think that clip, or if it will be a clip even, that will be on his timeline probably.
Oh yes, he'll pull it out whenever he wants to. Oh, that is not going to land in. So it is Jarry who gets his 8th top 10 win.
Yeah, 8-11 against the top 10, 6th ATP final. And it's going to be a pretty nice shot for him. I mean, Diaz Acosta, 3-0 in the head-to-head. Generally, maybe you would expect a tougher opponent in the final.
For Alcaraz, no need to panic yet. They're still Rio. But yeah, he'll definitely be disappointed with the result.
Shifting around on his toss, says Ghosty. I didn't really notice that, but it can be controversial a little bit of the time. Sometimes if your movement when someone is preparing to serve is like a little too much. There was definitely some about like twisting your racket. Sometimes it is a heated debate, but well, I didn't see Jarry. I think with squeaking shoes right on hard courts, it's often a controversy as well, but
yeah.
But well, clearly it's in this case he never said anything. Do you all have unforced errors for this? I don't think so. I mean, the stats in Buenos Aires honestly are a little crappy. Like, they don't really show that much to you.
We don't get the winners on forced errors for 250s.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any extra site that does it, but well, maybe on the match charting project of Tennis Abstract, right? but that's going to be not for a while. But yeah, all in all, what a performance as well from Jarry. Even if especially maybe if we forget about that first set tiebreak, which was quite horrible. But otherwise, definitely showed that again that there is more. There is more to his game than that big serve, and that he basically can beat anyone on the planet, including Carlos Alcaraz, whom he pushed twice last year but actually couldn't defeat. Yeah, Vansh, what else do we have to say?
Yeah, I mean, we both said like when we looked at the draws for these tournaments that Jari was a name that came up that could be his biggest threat to winning one of these two titles, and yeah, you can see why. I mean, also he showed off some really good speed and defense, in some big moments. And then in the last game, when he was under pressure and he was down break points, he came up with some pretty big shots, like the composure to put away the smash. After Alcaraz went for the lob the second time, and then also on the other break point, yeah, he just kept going after it, and then also to get the break back at the start of the second set. So yeah, he was the better player. Of course,
Absolutely.
Alcaraz will be regretting the kind of slow start that he had in the first set tiebreak, the double fault, and then also the not making enough first serves that really cost him the first set tiebreak. Because up
Yeah.
until then, there were no break points for either player, so it was really all about that first set tiebreak. And yeah,
The lesser Cerundolo, by the way, beat Darderi 6-6-2. Okay.
in Rio qualies.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully Darderi is not one of those players who wins Cordoba and then kind of like that's his main highlight.
And we don't have to look far for that player, one of them at least, because he was literally playing him today.
Yes.
Juan Manuel Cerundolo, we're
I know
looking
what
at
you're
you.
gonna say.
Juan Ignacio Londero is the other example.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, everyone is saying goodbye, so I guess we should also say goodbye because clearly they don't want to listen to us anymore. Of course, we are gonna close shop anyway. But yeah, lesser Cerundolo. I say that maybe not about Cerundolos, but I've said that before about Gojovcik and Goyo, for example. So it's not like Ghosty invented it. However, oh, actually, so it's Jane who started talking about that, I suppose. I've heard this before. I don't know if Cerundolos, but definitely with Sfaidas, I've used this. The lesser
Pliskova
Sfaida.
sisters. Yeah.
Pliskova, yeah. And definitely I was using it all the time with Gojovcik and Goyo, even though they're not related. And I remember when Goyo actually started being better than Gojovcik, so like pretty much 2022 late or early 2023. I remember sort of us posing a question when it comes to who is actually the lesser Goyo right now. And yeah, Imer as well. Although they're also right now you could kind of argue who's the lesser Imer. But anyway, yeah, nothing else left to say, I suppose. Tomorrow, Nicolas Jarry, Facundo Diaz Acosta. John probably won't be too happy about this result here, I think, because he's been a little like down on Buenos Aires as a whole. Not in terms of the event and how it's run, but just in terms of the actual draw quality and how the draw was kind of falling apart for Carlos to pick up the pieces. He didn't. As you said, that was always going to be a problem round. If it's Jarry, if it's Echeverry, probably doesn't matter all that much, although Jarry is definitely the bigger threat to Alcaraz as stylistically. And yeah, I think Carlos was not really thinking straight when he said that he wanted to play Jarry.
Yeah, that was surprising to me because yeah, stylistically you'd think Echeverry would be better for him. He'd just have more time. He'd be able to create and just not react as much. And yeah, I mean,
reacting is okay for you when you're playing on instinct and everything, but when you're actually, well, it's also dangerous because you don't really have control over the match for the most part. Yes, Ghosty, there absolutely is a lesser Fruchvirtova. There is for sure a lesser Andreeva, and I think there is a lesser Fruchvirtova as well. And it's not the Fruchvirtova who is sort of yet to win a WTA title. It's actually the Fruchvirtova who won the WTA title. Yeah.
For the most
Anything
part,
else?
Alcaraz's first serve was pretty good in this match. It's just so happened in the game that he got broken and in the tiebreak that he missed too
Yeah.
many of them.
He didn't get anything out of his serve in the tiebreak. Really, like nothing. Absolutely nothing. But yeah, basically that was it. Keep tuning into the content from Buenos Aires that John is providing. Keep tuning into the content from Delray Beach that Miles is providing. And by the way, what's going on in Delray Beach? Are they just playing the second semi, like just
They're
starting right
playing it
now?
No, they're playing it in a couple of hours. It's supposed to be.
Oh, in 2 more hours. That's BS again. Like, why do the tournaments do that?
Just to get another session of
Uh-huh.
tickets.
Yeah, but it's just unfair. It's completely unfair to the players. If there are 2 semifinals and if there's one final, both day after day, they should definitely be playing the semis right away. Honestly, the most fair would be if they played the semifinals on 2 different courts. But
Yeah, but that's
outside of the ITF tour, it never really happens. And of course, we also want people to watch. We're not just about the fairness. We're not just about the fairness. Sometimes a little unfair is fine, but separating the finals by 5 hours, I think that's simply pointless. Buenos Aires did not do the same mistake. Did not make the same mistake. Anyway, yeah.
No, unless they make the final later. Unless they make it only at night.
Yeah, I mean, maybe then it can be a thing. But even then, at the Australian Open, we had that situation with Zheng and Yastremska, right? When one had 33 hours and one had 24 hours of rest. Like, it is a big deal. 9 hours out of 33 or out of 24, depending how you look. I guess we should look at it as 9 hours out of 24. So basically about 3 out of 8, right? 38% more rest. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys for today. Thank you, Vansh, as well. And as I said, keep tuning into the talking tennis content. Keep talking tennis. And we are only 7 subscribers away from 5,700. So hopefully we'll get there in the next couple of days. See ya.
Yep. See ya.